of the Zoom. This is my favorite time. Honestly, this is my absolute favorite time of doing this because I don't know if I'm going to be on. I don't know. This is my most favorite time of doing it right here. This is what I do the live for, to see, number one, if I did it right, to see, number two, if somebody's going to show up. And number three, now I have to wait to see when it comes on my screen to see if anybody's going to show up. So right now I'm having a hard time seeing if it's coming on my screen or not. So right now I don't even know if there's anybody there. So if there is somebody there, I apologize because I cannot find you because my YouTube screen is not updating. So I'm just going to try to keep updating, and hopefully it flashes on the screen soon that this video is live, or else we're going to have huge problems today. Because if I can't see you guys, then we're in big trouble. All right, we're in action. We got everybody. My YouTube page didn't go, doesn't say anything. It's just regular. All right, so we are here. We made it. Talking to myself, but now I'm talking to you guys. I am so happy that you guys have found your way over here. I am very, very happy to help answer any kind of questions that you guys need. And any kind of help you guys need help with. So please post your questions early. Post them early before the chat gets crazy. Post the questions early because if you get in late, you might get missed. So there, there's two things that will save your eBay business. There are two things that will save your reselling business. And we will get into those during this discussion, and we will answer a lot of questions that you guys have. But there are two things that's going to save everybody, me included. First question, how much do you promote your listings and what do you prefer? So how much I promote has no impact on how much you promote. How much you promote has no impact on what I promote. We all have a different blend. We all have different circumstances. We all have different desires, different needs. You might want a faster sell through with a smaller margin. You might have an apartment in New York City. I might have 10,000 square feet in the middle of Montana with very cheap storage, and I want to list to them, forget it. So what someone promotes versus somebody else has zero impact on anything. I do the flat rate promotion. I don't do the dynamic one that changes all the time. That's just my personal preference. But again, there is zero impact on what you promote and what somebody else promotes. You have to assess your items. You have to assess how saturated they are. You have to assess what exactly your business model is. And remember, promoted listings, all the promotions, those are not a business model. That is a strategy. So you can use promoted listings as a strategy to sell your items, but to use it as a business model, that's a different thing. So some items you pick up never need promoted listings. Some items you pick up may need a lot of promoted listings. It all depends on what you pick up. So for Effie, the one who asked the question, if you're picking up CC Filson and Roback and all these brands with insane sell-throughs, you need to promote at 0%. If you're picking up Ralph Lauren small pony shirts and you want to charge $40 for them, you might need to promote at 80%. So it's strictly going to depend on what you're picking up, what you're listing, what their starting price is, the quality of your listing, and what kind of business model you desire. There is no one way to do it, one sanctioned amount that's going to totally revolutionize your business, because every single time you increase promotions, you are voluntarily paying eBay to help you sell the item. So there is no one way. Do something, experiment, see what works for you, and find out what works for you, and go up, go down according to the results that you are getting. Everyone's percentage is going to be different. All right. So again, we need many, many, many questions. Many, many questions. Semper Fi said he had a big score today using the buy cheap and sell high with sell-through rate. Very good. Yesenia says, why do you get nervous about us not showing up? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day I turn this thing off and turn it on and like nobody will be there. And I'm still the person who goes to the cash register with a credit card and still thinks it's going to decline. I walk out the door with $20, and if I have to spend more than $20, then something happened. I still pay with cash. I don't trust credit cards. It's just maybe how I was brought up, but maybe I have trust issues. Maybe that's what it is, Yacina. Maybe you got to the bottom of it. Where to get the best shipping supply prices. So if you do have an eBay store, you can get subscriber discounts. I will post this into the chat. And based on your store level, that is the coupon that you can get. So for an Anchor store, they give you 150 bucks. I think the lowest one they give you is $25. Definitely use those because if you do not use it, you will lose it. And those renew every single quarter. So definitely use it. You can get free shipping supplies from eBay first and foremost. As for the best price, we usually go with either suppliers on Amazon or suppliers on eBay. But if you need it fast and you need it on a reliable time frame, Uline is going to be a little more expensive, but they will get it to you on time every single time. Also, the post office, if you go to USPS.com, they have free postage supplies for priority, such as your flat rate boxes, such as the 1091 and box number 4. All of those are really great, but if you use a priority box, of course, you have to ship priority, but you do get the box for free. So you can get free supplies on eBay. You can buy supplies on eBay from vendors. You can buy supplies on Amazon. Uline will get it there on a dependable time frame. It's going to be a little more expensive. And then, of course, USPS does have free supplies. And also, you can go dumpster dive. A lot of people throw out boxes and things like that. So there's a bunch of ways to get it. But definitely get your subscriber discount, your subscriber coupon, and do not let that thing go to waste. Because if you do not use it, you will lose it. What are the best ways to sell unbranded items? Unbranded items are a little bit complicated on eBay because eBay is very brand dependent on the listing side for item specifics and also on the buy side for searches. So if you have a vintage Harley Davidson shirt from 1986 from a South Carolina motorcycle rally, very easy to find. All you have to do is search Harley shirt, vintage Harley shirt, or more particular, vintage Harley Davidson 1986 shirt. But if you have a motorcycle shirt from a 1986 South Carolina motorcycle rally, that's more difficult because someone will have to search motorcycle shirt, vintage motorcycle shirt. So in order to sell unbranded items, it's going to be very, very, very dependent on your keywords. And you have to have great keywords to cast a wide net and then also to cast a very specific net for the person that's looking exactly for that item. So for the vintage motorcycle shirt, maybe a good keyword would be single stitch, because then you would get all the people that are searching for a vintage single stitch shirt. Very, very wide, very broad. And then you also want to go very narrow by using motorcycle, biker, things like that. So unbranded is difficult, but it is not impossible, but you have to have a really, really good understanding of keywords. When do you know when to scale up your listings? Good question. There's 2 criteria that you have to meet. One criteria is when your business can afford it. That's step number 1. And I go over that in the podcast about maybe 2 months ago from now. The thumbnail says Techonomics. That goes over all the financials of a business and explains the best time for you to increase your listings without digging into your own pocket. You kind of use house money. You're using the business's money. So first of all, when your business can afford it, that is a good time to scale. Secondly, when you can scale and not screw it up. How do you screw it up? Increase your defects, increase your returns, go out of stock, increase your cancellations, not put stuff away. So we have stuff listed and not put away. So when we sell it, we can't find it. So you can list however many items you want, so long as your business can afford it and so long as you don't screw it up. So if your return rate is going to go up once you've increased your listings, we need to put the brakes on it and we need to reassess. If your defects go up once we increase, we need to put the brakes, we need to reassess. If you're canceling items because you can't find them, because things are sloppy, because your listings decrease, then we need to stop and we need to reassess. So those are the 2 criteria that we have to meet. Can we afford it? And are we going to screw it up? Do you look ahead at sourcing items according to what may happen, like Taylor and Travis breaking up? Well, what if you source a bunch of Taylor Swift and Travis items and they stay together forever? Then what do? You get stuck holding all the items. So for me personally, I don't speculate. I rely on the data that eBay provides to make an informed buying decision. Um, where do you find keywords for each item? Example, Polo Ralph Lauren. You can go right to the eBay machine and you can see repeatable patterns, trending keywords that you keep seeing every single time when you're looking at the solds, when you're looking at the actives. You can open up a new screen and say, what is Polo Bear? Open up a new screen, research everything for Polo Bear. What is Crest? Open up a new screen, research Crest. What is Stadium? What is RLPC 93? All of this stuff we need to know if we want to really get the best bang for the buck, if we want to cast the widest net for our keywords and title, and if we don't want to get caught slipping and have someone buy a very expensive item for very cheap, and so we don't pass up items at the rack. So inside of the group, I have probably the most comprehensive Ralph Lauren Polo deep dive anywhere on the internet. It's made people thousands of dollars, I'm sure. We also have the hat call, which a guy watched it the other day and found a hat for $550. So he paid for almost 2 years of the group by spending 30 minutes of watching the hat deep dive. So these items are out there. We just pass them by. So when we say we can't find items, it's because 9 times out of 10, we don't know about the items. So he watched the hat deep dive and magically found the hat. Trust me, the hat didn't just pop up because he knew about it. It's always been there the whole time. So we can look at online resources. We can look at Google Images. We can look at Instagram. We could buy books. There's a very great Ralph Lauren book that we talk about in the group. There's a lot of whole different kinds of ways how to find keywords, but it takes effort and it takes time, and we have to go out and seek the knowledge. So we could look at all of what eBay has to offer, what other sellers are doing, what successful sellers are doing. Open up those tabs and go down those kind of rabbit holes every single time you see something that's a pattern that's repeatable. You could buy books. You can go to the library. You can go to the Google machine. You can go on Google Images. They have a bunch of resources online. One is the Vintage Fashion Guild. Vintage Fashion Guild has a little bit of information about every single brand, and it has tons of tags for every single brand. You could go over to Wikipedia. You can go to YouTube. There's deep dives everywhere, but you have to take the initiative to go out and go find them. But any one of those 5 to 10 ways, if you spend 30 minutes focusing on one of those 5 or 10 ways, you will know more than 90% of the population and you will be so much further than everybody else. Um, do you use sales? I found my sales drop when I started sales promotion. I did 50% off on older items, no bites. Um, I mean, you could do 50% off of items that nobody wants and it's not going to make a difference. So, like if a tree falls in the woods and no one is there to see the tree fall, does that mean the tree even fell? So, I do use sales as part of a strategy for my aged inventory markdown process, but you can mark down an item that nobody wants to 90% off, 80% off. And if nobody wants it, it really doesn't matter. Is there any flaws in doing your rack system except when running SKU instead of by color? So um, this is the thing between racks and boxes. So racks are faster, but they take up more space. Boxes are slower, but you can store more items. So with a rack, you don't need a SKU, you don't need to fold it, you don't need to order bags, you don't need to put stuff in bags, you don't need to file it, you don't need to take it out of the box and consolidate. For racks, all you have to do is just push it back. So you eliminate all of that front end work. It's faster to pick because you could visually see it. You don't have to pull boxes in and out. However, it does take more space. So if you are crunched on space or are, um, space challenged, then probably the boxes is the way to go. My philosophy always was I could buy more space, and I've done that all the way up to 10,000 square feet, and I could have bought more space if I wanted to. So I was always on the side of speed, and then speed always is going to translate to more sales, more profit, and then more sales, more profit can always just buy a bigger space or buy an employee or things like that. So rack is great for speed, not great for space. Boxes are not great for speed, but they are great for space. Very good. Do you or did you have a sell-through rate benchmark? Was there a percentage that would make you put an item down? Absolutely. So I've done a few iterations throughout my eBay career, and I've been on eBay probably 16 years at this point, so for over 15 years. Early on, I had no idea what I was doing, so I was just picking up stuff that I thought was cool. And back then we didn't have Terapeak. Back then there was no one to explain sell through there. There was no one to say, hey, look at active, look at sold. So it was pretty much you buy something. If it sells, you buy it again. If it sells again, you buy it again. That was pretty much the metric that you had to see. Once eBay started to release these kind of tools and more information, once upon a time, I ran a business that had a 90-day sell through. If the item was going to stay longer than 90 days, then it had to make me more than what my desired profit was for my business model. So this is just as an example. $20 profit, 90-day sell through. That is an example. That is not a rule. That is not a requirement. You could do anything that you want to do. We're just doing this as an example purpose. $20 profit, 90-day sell through. If an item is going to take longer than 90 days to sell through, it needs to be more profitable. If an item is going to take less than 90 days to sell through, perhaps it could be less profitable. Because if every single one of us in here had a magical item that sold 10,000 times per day, we would be happy if we made $1 profit. So on the far extreme, $1 profit, lots of volume, still works. On the other part of the extreme, if we could all find one yacht and sell one yacht and make $100,000 a year, that would be one listing, $100,000. So we need to find ourselves somewhere inside of this puzzle between high velocity, low profit, low velocity, high profit. What doesn't work, and you can hear it here first, is low velocity, low margin. That doesn't work. So just as an example, $20 profit, 90-day sell through. Once upon a time, that was my metric. So if I made more profit, maybe I'm okay with this particular item hanging around longer. If it was going to be less profit, maybe I was okay picking it up if it was going to sell quicker. That's why the $20 profit is not a requirement. It is an average of what our business is. So it's a sliding scale based on sell-through rate, based on velocity. After I did that business model, I graduated and started hiring employees and started getting inventory brought into me. All the thrift stores shut down in 2020 when everything else in the world shut down. So I had to widen my scope and kind of lessen my tolerance for what I wanted to list. And I went from 120 listings a day to 250 a day. That's when I started hiring employees. Then my business shifted to a 6-month sell through. So does that mean every single one of the items sold in 6 months? No, but that was the criteria. I was okay with a 6-month sell through now that I wasn't personally sourcing myself and now that my listing goal became so aggressive. So you can have a 1-month sell through, a 3-month sell through, a 6-month sell through, a 1-year sell through. Everything works. Every single thing works. You just have to make it work. So if you're going to have a much longer sell through, you're probably going to need a much larger store, which is fine, so long as you can afford the overhead of doing so. If you are going to have a very fast sell through, odds are that your margins are going to be smaller and you're going to have to do more velocity, more shipping, more photos, more sourcing, more of an expertise, which is also fine. So again, you can have a huge store so long as you can afford everything that comes with it. You could have a small store so long as you can keep up with the velocity to make it work. But what doesn't work is low margin, low velocity, either on a small store or a large store. That does not work. When am I visiting Australia? I don't know, maybe in 2 or 3 years, hopefully. Throttling back my store and focusing on quality items with high sell-through rate. Today I drove 2 hours for 2 days worth of men's clothing. Any advice on when it's time to turn a business into a hobby again? Well, I mean, you can call it a hobby, but the IRS is still going to call it a business. So it really depends. You always have to follow the money. If the money is not working out, then we all have to find something else to do. If the money is still working and it's worthwhile and that is your best opportunity to do this, then do this. If you have a better opportunity to make the same money or more money with least resistance, then by all means, go do that. But if you are going to turn a profit, then the IRS is going to assess you a business, certainly not a hobby. Um, what if you're doing a deep dive submittal and the brand is a bolo? There's only one worth selling category. Then it is what it is, my man. What are your thoughts on Whatnot versus eBay? We do both, but struggling to get followers, mainly clothing sales. I think both are great. I think for Whatnot, for a lot of people, it's going to have to be volume based. You're going to have a lot. Because if you sell 10 items and you make $3 each, you made 30 bucks, and that's a lot of work and prep, running the show and shipping for not a lot of money. I think that Whatnot has a very fun kind of gaming aspect, which is fine. However, they don't have the marketplace where you could type in and search vintage Nike shirt and just buy the one that you want. You're at the mercy of the streamer, so that is a little bit of a drawback for Whatnot. However, both can be highly profitable and can be great assets to your business. But just like everything else, it's very difficult to do multiple things at a high level, and it's very difficult to spread yourself thin. So if I was going to do it and I was working by myself, I would focus on my eBay business. This is me personally. I would focus on my eBay business. And after all of my eBay work was done, if I wanted to get a part-time job in my reselling business, I would do Whatnot only after all of my eBay activities were done. Shipping, put away, listing, everything. Once eBay is done, I clock out of eBay. I would get a part-time job in my reselling business, and then and only then would I explore something else. But I think both works. Everything works. Um, very good questions so far. I don't like that the chat jumps because then I lose my spot. And then I got to catch up. And with so much in the chat, it's tough. You've been in this long enough. What is your outlook on resellers getting out? I'm sure this is a cyclical business for those quick come up folks. It absolutely is. And I think that so I've been doing this for over 15 years. There is not a single person that I knew 15 years ago that is still doing this. Are there people that have been doing it for over 15 years? Absolutely. I know a lot of those people now, but when I was coming up, I don't know a single person that's still doing this now. So like Michelle's in the chat. Shout out to Michelle, Reseller Project. Everyone click on her name. She has the wrench. She just put out a YouTube video again. She got her out from the dark. So she's back in action. So show Michelle some love. She has great insight, true wealth of knowledge. So definitely shout out to Michelle. Michelle's been doing this for over 20 years. There's a lot of people that's been doing this for 20 years or more. It is absolutely possible to do it. It is absolutely possible to earn a full-time income. It is absolutely possible to change your life using reselling as a vehicle. However, it is very, very, very difficult to do this long-term. And anybody who does this for any amount of time successfully has my respect, especially the people that have done it for a very long time, because I've done it. I know how much work it takes. And that's why you'll never, ever hear me say anything negative about anybody's business or anybody's work ethic, because I know exactly how much effort, time, and work it actually takes. So if there does come a time and you decide that this is no longer viable, there's no shame. Sometimes you have to get in, sometimes you have to get out. Everything happens for a reason, and there's seasons and there's chapters in our lives as well. And when one page turns, another page opens, one door closes, another door opens, and that's plenty okay. So, there's always going to be churn. It is only going to get more difficult. And the reason why eBay is so difficult, the reason why reselling is so difficult is because we have to wear 15 different hats inside of the business. We have to be the people who buy the product. We have to do our own promotions. We have to do our own advertising. We have to do our own data entry, bookkeeping, accounting. We have to be our own photographer, our own customer service, our own packaging and shipping, our own logistics. We have to handle our own returns. It's just so much stuff that we have to do day in and day out. And eBay is 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's never going to stop. It's never going to end. And that's why it is very hard. So combine that with changes in the marketplace, with changes in the economy, and it's very difficult. And, we've been talking about this in the group for 4 years, maybe even 5 years, that the writing was on the wall and like we need to make changes if we want to go ahead. And every single day, I got a message yesterday from a lady who's been in the group since 2019. She doesn't talk much, but I know she's there and I know she's doing great. She sent me a message that she did $683,000 last year. And I asked her, I said, where were you at the first year when you started with us? And she said 147. So like she's seen huge leaps in her business. So it is possible. I do know a ton of people that are doing this full time, but it's not Mickey Mouse. Like they are actually doing it. They are actually doing it on a daily basis, and they are actually doing the two things that will save your eBay reselling business that I'm going to give you at the end. They are doing the two things. And if you do the two things, you will succeed. If you do not, then you will not. Caitlin says, do you ever dabble in pallets? I do not personally. I think SKU for SKU is very difficult when you're selling pre-owned or vintage. It's not SKU for SKU, so there is no race to the bottom. There's no competing with someone who maybe has a deeper pocket. Maybe they want less margin. There's no, first one in, first one out, or last one in can actually make some money. Everyone that's stuck in the middle, you're just stuck holding. So me personally, I've never done it. Pre-owned for me, one-off has been the way to go for me personally. David said, when listing every day, should you list the same quantity for each category that you sell in? I don't think it's necessary to go that far, but I do think for 100% best results, I think it's important to be active in all of your categories as often as possible. Sandra says, I know you said we need to list every day. Look, that's not me. eBay has shown that with the data. I'm just the messenger of that. If you want the best results, for whatever reason, the data has shown that eBay wants you to be active. That's that. If I don't want to add anything else to the store because I want to start cleaning up, how do I go about doing that and keeping consistency with eBay? You can go in there and you can revise your titles. You can put different keywords. You can change prices if need be. You can spruce up your item specifics. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to rejuvenate your store, rejuvenate your listing. It doesn't matter if you go in and revise, you can go in and end the listing and relist it. You can end and sell similar, but the most important part of that is you are changing the listing and making the listing better. That there, cleaning up those listings, fixing title structure, putting proper keywords in, making sure your item specifics are good, making sure it's priced at market, all of that stuff is very important. So you could do that if you do not wish to list any items. Have you ever sold an item and it never ended and is still a live listing for someone else to buy again and you have to cancel with no fault of your own? I have heard people out there say that that's happened to them. I have heard people out there say that they've called eBay and eBay has acknowledged things like that. I can't say honestly that that has ever happened to me personally. So has it happened to others? I'm not sure. Others have said it has happened, but to me personally, I can't say that I've double sold an item. eBay was rolling out. I don't know if they're still doing it because I haven't seen anybody kind of ask this question in a while. So about a month ago, for a month, eBay was rolling out some sort of test or pilot or program where someone can send an offer, you would accept the offer, and the listing would still be live until that person paid. So if you send an offer, you take 3 days to pay, but Joe comes in and he pays today, Joe gets the item. Your item was still live on eBay, even though this person won it. So I think that's a little bit of a different scenario that you're saying. And I haven't heard anything about that in the last month. So I don't know if eBay has rolled that back. I'm not sure. But I got a lot of questions about that about a month ago, but those questions have all but stopped now. But I can't sit here and say I've ever had an item double list or double list and double sell that just did it with a glitch in the matrix personally. What do you think is a better business model? Sell low and fast or high or slow? Totally up to you. And we touched on a lot of that right at the top of the call. Every single business works. We just have to build the infrastructure around that business to make it work. There is no right or wrong way to do this. If you want to sell low value items and you want to have them be long tail, no problem. You could build a beautiful business around that. And there are examples and people that do that. If you want to do high velocity, low volume or low profit, that's fine too. It just can't be, hey, I sold 3 items today and I made $6 each off of them for a grand total of $18 profit. That doesn't work. Sandra asks, which podcast are you talking about knowing your numbers? So there's a podcast about 2 months ago. It's me against a chalkboard, and the thumbnail says Techonomics. Definitely check that one out. Travis said, I want to move into clothing on eBay, but I am clueless. I struggle looking up comps to the thrift and get discouraged. What is the best way to look up comps on clothing? The best way to look up comps is to sit at home, do your research, commit that stuff to memory, and front load as much information as possible. So that way, when you go out to the thrift, we're not fumbling around on our phone trying to figure out some sort of direction and hope and pray that we're making the right choice. So every single day I would study 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it takes, get in the comps, get in the solds, look at these reoccurring things that are happening, look at what's selling, figure out nuance, figure out keywords, figure out styles, figure out types, open up those new tabs, and then really, really, really get into the solds and see what is selling and what you need to start picking up. You could do it generic by category. Polo shirt. See what polo shirts are selling all the time, research those. You could do jeans. See what jeans are selling all the time, research those brands. You have to do that. Otherwise, it's not ever going to come to you. On Wednesdays, every single Wednesday morning in the group, I host a morning call. On Wednesdays, we do show and tell. That's a great call. I have learned 3 or 4 brands just this morning that I didn't know. And I know a pretty good amount about clothing, but today I learned 3 or 4 brands on the morning call for show and tell personally. We also have the deep dive document in the group, which is over 350 pages right now. It's a few hundred brands. It shows tags, it shows sell through, it shows which items to pick up, which items do not pick up, the bolos for certain brands, the items to stay away from, price points. It shows everything. It's the most comprehensive quote unquote bolo list anywhere on the internet. But you have to submit a deep dive to get access to the bolo list. So around here, there's no free lunch. You want the deep dive document, participate, submit a deep dive, and then you have access to a few hundred brands at your disposal for you to research, for you to figure out, and fast track your education. It is the most comprehensive bolo list anywhere on the internet. I am confident in that. When am I going to get Jack on the Reseller Greatness podcast? He's a wealth of knowledge on video games. Man, you got that right. He's on the short list, believe me. So what I try to do is solo podcast, guest podcast, solo guest, solo guest. Jack will be on the podcast. I actually met up with Jack last Saturday when I went up to Orlando. Went out with him and a few other big time Amazon sellers. One of them is the biggest video game seller on Amazon. Almost 100 employees, tens of millions of dollars in sales. He's been in the group, great guy, very helpful, very, very knowledgeable. And just that conversation with those guys on Saturday was like very, very, very fruitful. So that was the video that I put out on Monday, just kind of reflecting on, talking with Jack, talking with the largest video game seller on Amazon, talking with the largest pre-owned shoe seller on eBay. He stopped by for an hour and a half in the group. He's been in the group. Just talking to like these very, very high level, very knowledgeable people, and then having them be in the circle of the group is immensely valuable. So, I think surround yourself with people, get involved in a community, some type of community. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a local community, you meet up with another reseller and you guys go to Starbucks and go over numbers, whatever it is, just get involved with somebody somewhere where you can bounce ideas off of, where you can share ideas. Hey, I did this, this is working. Hey, I did this, this is not working. I think that's immensely important. And, if you can gather a small group and kind of stay in touch with those people, hold each other accountable, always level each other up. I think that that is very, very, very important. But Jack will definitely be on the call. Absolutely. ABC of Technology How are these people that have sold the Trump sneakers on eBay for 45,000, but the shoe is pre-ordered? How are they doing that? So eBay does have a pre-order policy. It's X amount of days before it is released. I did read a couple of places. I'm not sure. I didn't look in it fully, but I did read a couple of places that those items were beyond the pre-order window that eBay allows. So I don't know if those sales go through, if they get refunded, if all of those people get suspended. I don't know, but that goes into doing these two things will save your eBay reselling business. That's coming up. Have you created a simple IRA through your business? What other ways do you maximize your tax solution? Definitely consult with a CPA, like you said. I like to invest in real estate personally. That's what I do. With the rising cost of product and increased competition, how do we get ahead? You get ahead by getting ahead. You get ahead by doing everything that everybody else refuses to do. The most consistent, the most knowledgeable, and the most opportunities will win. And that has been my recipe and my secret to success. I have been the most consistent. I try to have the most knowledge, and I try to give myself the most opportunities. If you have those three, there is no competition. How does sales tax work on eBay? Poshmark turns it in on our behalf. eBay turns it in on your behalf as well. All right. Did spouse get on board with your grind? So my wife, she's had an eBay store of her own for probably close to 10 years now. And, just being around me every single day, she knows a thing or two. So she's very knowledgeable on eBay. She has her own little eBay store going for her. She's been at it for 10 years and she does a great job. All right. Razor's Edge said, trying to learn how to list clothing. What is the best way to research keywords? We've been over that a bunch of times. Go back to the beginning. I've been finding a lot more success with men's boots this past week. Average cost 15, ASP 75. Beautiful. Figgy says, the zip code call, was that a concept you came up with and invented, or did you adapt that idea from someone else? You're looking at it, Figgy. I don't adapt ideas from anywhere. You see something coming out of my mouth, it's an original idea and original thought. I don't copycat. I don't parrot. That ain't my thing. I don't watch any other YouTube resellers because I don't want them to sway my opinion. I don't want to copy what they are doing. Everything that I do is 100% original. What do you recommend I do with my eBay store if I am going out of the country for 3 weeks? I have listings scheduled to release while I am gone. You could do time away, or you could do vacation mode. People in the group say they have more success with time away. Title structure is talked about a lot, but do you think it matters if an item is sought after? I see a lot of successful resellers who don't follow title structure. Absolutely. You could have an iPhone and you could list it and the title can only say iPhone. And if it's priced right, that thing will sell immediately. So unfortunately, us as resellers, we don't only list gold bars and iPhones. We list items that are highly saturated and take more effort and more skill for them to sell. So unfortunately, we need to be very, very proficient at our keywords. So absolutely. If you have all great items, you could just put shirt. And if it's like a vintage Tupac shirt and you list that thing for $400 and it's worth 500 and your title just says shirt, that thing's going to sell immediately in one day as well. Do you think title structure is important for Poshmark? Absolutely. Anything that has an algorithm, anything that has some sort of translator between you and the customer, title structure is going to absolutely be important. All right. Chat jumped. Let me go back. If I'm top rated and I fall next month in item not as described defect, will they give me grace? Sometimes they do. If you have been top rated for a good amount of time, they will give you a grace period. But they will send you an email about that. Bold Finds in the chat. My man Bold Finds, all the way from the UK. We did a great podcast with James Bold Finds. He hosts the UK call in the Facebook group. And we also have a new call hosted by Jamie and Chica and they alternate. It's UK clothing sellers. One week Jamie will do it, one week Chica will do it. Chica did a great call about Lag and Look. I had 5 people message me and say how great the call was. Jamie's done some great calls about vintage tags. He's done some great calls about soccer jerseys. I know you guys call them football shirts. I know you guys call them biscuits, but James, they are cookies. In the chat, are they biscuits or are they cookies? Please, biscuits or cookies? We need to get to the bottom of that. Thank you, James. Good to see you. Diddy stuff about to go up or down? Shoot. I don't know. You answer that one for me. He got a couple problems going on. Very good. Otis says, tomorrow I have a meeting with my landlord about rent to own. I have W-2s from last year, show 100K in sales. What points can I use to really show the awesomeness of eBay? I mean, 100,000 in sales is great, but they want to see the profit. It is absolutely possible to buy a house using eBay income. You might have to fill out like a profit and loss sheet, a P&L. You might have to answer some other questions. You might have to put a little bit of a larger down payment. Just because, eBay is very unpredictable. It's not a W-2. But it is entirely possible. Congratulations. Hope you get it. Let us know. All right, so Tom says he accidentally shipped an item. The buyer asked to cancel, messaged the buyer and asked to return to sender, but they opened the package and changed their mind. How can they pay within the eBay guidelines? Maybe relist the item. They can purchase it again, and then you just send them another package in the mail. So that way you can satisfy the tracking. Shop Collie's Closet says, going off of averages, how do you make sure you don't lose at the end of the year? Because you have to keep track of everything. So I show these a lot on my Tuesday calls that I do. And last night was a great Tuesday call. It went for, I don't know, 4 hours. It was a beautiful call, beautiful conversation, but you have to keep track of it. So once upon a time, 2018, I used to keep track of everything, keep track of my profit, how much I was making per day profit-wise, how much I was making at the end of the month. This is 2018. And every single day I'm in here, I'm keeping track. So if you're keeping track every single day, you don't lose sight. But if it disappears, then it disappears. But if you don't look at it, then absolutely it's going to dry up. Whatever happened to Terry and her store? I just heard from Terry yesterday. She said she's doing very well. So I'm very, very glad to hear that. If you get an offer on eBay below your metrics profit, would you decline, counter, or leave it alone? I always decline, I always counter, always, always, always counter, always counter. Did you ever struggle with low sales years? No. William says, Miss Tech and the family. They are going to Universal in December. Any recommendations on go-to food spots? So we like to go to Flippers in Old Town. They have pretty good pizza. We like to go to Disney Springs. Where did we go the other day? Oh, we went to that Irish place the other day. That one was okay. We've been to City Works in Disney Springs. That one was pretty good. We saw DJ Khaled at Disney Springs. He was just walking by, like no one even recognized him. There's some good places in Disney Springs, but we like Flippers over in Old Town. It's been pretty good. And if you go to Disney World, Pecos Bill. If you have a better suggestion than Pecos Bill, put it in the comments. Also, Disney World, the spring rolls that are hamburger and pizza, pepperoni pizza. If you have a better Disney World food, put it in the comments. Put it in the chat if you have a better Disney World food than Pecos Bill nachos and Disney World spring rolls, pepperoni, and hamburger. Please let me know. Very good. Catching up in the chat. How are you organizing your inventory before you started doing the racks? Bins. I was in the bin life, and I was doing it the same way by category and date. Is a CPA necessary? It is not. You could do it all yourself if you wish, but if you want it professionally, then get a professional. When your store had a 90-day sell through, what was your markdown strategy? What percent did you do a sliding scale per month, or did you wait until the 90 days before you did any? So I had an aged inventory process or aged inventory markdown. So on X days, I would mark it down 20%. On X days, I would mark it down 30%, then 40%, then 50. Usually everything sold between 20, 30, 40%. Rarely did things make it to 50% or more, but sometimes things fall through the cracks. Sometimes, it just happens. Sometimes the item has a flaw. Maybe sometimes you make a mistake. So it was always based on X days, and I would drop the percent 10% every single time it eclipsed those number of days. Do you do best offer and always list your own non-negotiable price? I do best offer for everything. I'm ready to rock and roll. Mike, the used book guy, shout out to him, $5 super chat. Mike, you know that is not necessary. Please, not necessary. I actually did a podcast with Mike, used book guy. It's the world record on his channel, so I am very proud of that to have the world record. But I think Tom is going to give me a run for my money. So Tom, great guy from Australia. He has over 125,000 listings on eBay Australia. And if you watch Mel's videos back from Burnout, then you know Tom. Tom's in the group. He's on the media call right now. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of information. So if you have not seen the podcast that I did with Mike, used book guy, go over to his channel, watch mine, and then watch Tom's. We got to boost up mine. I got to keep the record over there on Mike's channel. What classifies you as a full-time reseller? The money you make or the time you put into the business? No, it's the money. You can put in a bunch of time, but if the money ain't there, it ain't there. So you have to make enough money to pay all of your bills at minimum, but hopefully we're making enough money to pay all of our bills and put some to savings. It is not about the time at all. How do media sellers who sell media at $3 or $4 with free shipping make any money? So those ones are very, very high volume. They have negotiated rates with some sort of service provider, and they get very, very cheap shipping. That's how they're able to do it. And of course, with volume. So tons of volume, low margin, negotiated shipping rate. Is there an authentication app for hats? I found a vintage white label Nike wool golf hat. Does not look exactly like others. Man, I can't say there's one for hats, but if you want to send me a message on Instagram, I can take a look at it and give you my best shot. Canuck Girl said a little bit late, but she made it. Hey, we take it. We take the late ones too. Do you ever pick up bolo items that sell break even for store velocity and interest? No. I don't take losses. I don't take self-imposed losses. I don't even take fake YouTube losses. You will never see me take an L on YouTube with a sad puppy dog face for views. I'm not doing it. Over here, positive, productive, no goofy faces, just smiles, happy to see you. I'm not going to manufacture losses. I don't take losses. Taking a loss is against every ounce of my being. I'm not doing it. So only items that I pick up are going to be profitable. I'm not taking an L. If other people want to take L's, so be it. But I'm not doing it personally. Every single one of my thumbnails, you will be greeted with a smile because I'm happy to see you. How did you wash so many items at home? Ooh, my poor washer, my poor dryer. My wife is in the chat. She could tell you we probably replaced those things 2 or 3 times. It was pretty much never ending, load after load after load after load, sometimes waking up in the middle of the night and changing the load over and over. There's no great answer to that. It was just the old-fashioned way. A couple of times, some sort of sensor or piece broke in the washing machine a few times, and we had to get in there and fix it a couple of times. One of my greatest fears at that time was our house was going to burn down due to like lint in the lint trap of the dryer because we were just doing so much laundry. But it was honestly it was never ending, and there was no hack. It was just doing it honestly, and sometimes waking up in the middle of the night. That's what it is. James said always learn a ton here. Awesome, excellent. That is mission accomplished. How would you transition to a storage unit when you work mostly at home and don't want to work at the storage unit or are not able to? What would your day look like? Yeah, so I've done that. So I stored everything at the storage unit. I've worked at home. I wake up in the morning, see what needs to be shipped, go to the storage unit, pick it out, come back and ship everything, drop it off, go on the sourcing route, picks, list, repeat. In your opinion, what platform currently has the biggest upside potential for clothing? It's eBay. And we looked at it this morning. It's eBay. And everyone is saying, you know, where are the buyers? Where are the buyers? Do your research. It's eBay. Um, um, Catching up in the chat a lot. Oh, my wife said Earl of Sandwich. Yeah, Earl of Sandwich. We hit that one every now and then over there in the Disney Springs area. Absolutely. Um, what is eBay's biggest competition? Probably artificial intelligence. That's it. What separates you is your machine system. A lot of people have the knowledge. Less than 0.01% can list like you. What was the one thing that improved your efficiency the most? Um, as far as listing goes, I'll be completely honest, and this is not a plug because this is going to be news to a lot of people, and I don't even mention it. I don't even talk about it. Um, Taking pictures of the measurements increased my output immensely. So having the reseller ruler increased my output immensely. So once upon a time when I was doing 120 a day, if you factor in 30 seconds per measurement, by the time you get the item, you lay it flat, you measure it, and you write it down, figure conservatively, 30 seconds per item. 120 times 30, that's 3,600 seconds. You divide that by 60, that's 1 hour. Every single day, it would take me 1 hour to measure clothing. That's 7 hours per week. That is 52 hours per year, or 52 hours per year divided by 24. Every single day of every single year of my life, I was spending days of my year measuring clothing. So instead of spending that time measuring clothing, I had the reseller ruler, which is my invention. A lot of people don't know that because I don't talk about it. Take pictures of the measurements. That eliminated days of my life that I got back to myself, which allowed me to do what? Sit in the chair and list more items. So instead of just packing it up for 1 hour, I would take that extra hour and I would list 20 more. And those 20 more at a $20 profit was $400 extra per day. $400 extra per day times 365 was almost $150,000 a year in profit, 1 hour a day, because I eliminated one task. So a lot of people like to add by addition, but in reality, you have to add by subtraction. So by me subtracting a dedicated measuring process from my listing process, that was to the tune of at least $150,000 more a year in profit, and days of my life literally given back to me because I wasn't sitting there measuring items. I was sitting there listing items. So that was a game changer for me. Best strategy to tackle death pile, one piece at a time. You assess the item. Is this worth listing? Yes, goes in this pile. Is this worth listing? No. Is this worth selling at a garage sale? Yes. Is this worth selling at a garage sale? No. Donate it or take it behind the barn. Gaming Chair says, I am a great teacher, better than college business classes. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I really try my best. I am not an expert communicator. The guy you see on Zoom, all talkative, not really me. Very quiet, very reserved. I like to observe a lot, like to think a lot. But I mean, just me sitting here thinking ain't gonna work very well. All right. So in the chat, James Bull finds you're out. You have been voted off the island. They are cookies. You're out. Let's see. Does not having a description affect anything? I mean, your customer probably wants to read a little bit about what the item is. So I think a quality description is important. What do you do when you're gone? Oh, we have fun. We go places. In the last 2 weeks, we was only home for 3 days. So we've been out and about having fun. I don't post about it on social media and show all the vacations. Not everything is for social media, but we go out and we have fun. We're having a great time. Oh yeah, Michelle is right. I have advanced my game. I used to be only pizza rolls. Yeah, now I'm pizza spring rolls. I've never had a spring roll before going to Disney World and having the pizza spring roll. Arena says, how can I find resellers to connect with in Orlando? Post it on social media. Go to the bins, talk to the people over there. There's a lot of resellers in Orlando, a lot. I talk to a lot of them when I go to the flea markets up there. All right. So I have caught all the way up in the chat. All right, can you explain how you wash hats in the washing machine and make them ready for eBay? Sure. So throw them in the washing machine, get them out. Throw them in the dryer, get them out. You can't let them sit because if you let them sit, they're going to get misshaped. When you get them out of the dryer, you have to reshape them and then you can fold them in, you can cup them with each other. Be careful with wool hats. Wool hats will shrink. Be careful with red hats, especially with white on them. Those will bleed. But I do them in the washer, I do them in the dryer. Very good. Um, how do you store hats? I store them on shelves by dates. Did you find that you made more sales when you started adding picture of the measurements versus just being in the descriptions? So my sales have always steadily gone up. So I don't know if that is a direct contributor, but I will tell you it is a direct contributor to my returns going down. So my returns are 1.4% across all reasons, even including doesn't want, change mind, all reasons 1.4%. And I think the measurements have a lot to do with it. I almost beat you guys. I'm almost to the bottom of the chat. Oh, Miguel's from the Dominican Republic. Awesome. Good work, man. Nice. How did you make connections when juggling a tough schedule? Honestly, I didn't make a lot of connections up until about 5 years ago. When everything shut down, that's when I started making connections. I knew people, but I was way, way, way lone wolf. And like when the shutdown happened, I really opened up to connections. So I'm not the best at doing that. I'm not the best at like befriending, like especially people like that do the same thing. I'm not very good at that. But making connections at the flea market or making connections at the thrift, that's very easy. Show up often, show up consistently, be dependable, always have your money right. Don't beat them up on the price. Don't complain, be professional. And you're going to see in the video that I put out on Monday, I am going to a flea market that I've been to 2 times previous. It's 4 hours away. And in the last 2 or 3 months, I've been twice. This is my third time in 3 or 4 months. The vendors, when they see me, smile ear to ear. The vendors, when they see me, are calling me over and telling me to look in the back of the truck to get stuff out of the truck that they weren't even going to put out. The vendors, when they see me, give me high fives because I have done good business twice. That's it. 2 times I've done good business and they're happy to see me. They're giving me the phone number. They're telling me, call me next time you're going to come. Even if you don't come in in a month, just call me when you come and I'll save everything for you. Just because I have done what I just said. Be consistent, be professional, be polite, don't beat them up. And I know when I first started the videos, I've got this comment a lot. I know I've gotten this comment a lot. I didn't believe you when you said you never negotiate, but now I do because I've put out what 10 or 12 flea market videos. I never negotiate. Everybody has to make money. In fact, I pay people more money sometimes. There was a great family at the flea market this weekend, a mom, a dad, and a little girl. The mom was serving it up, bacon, egg, and cheese, French toast, everything. And we ordered 3 sandwiches, French toast, and 2 drinks, and the total was $15. I said, ma'am, this is too cheap. I gave her $20 and I said, thank you. And then I got 2 more drinks and I gave them $5 more. They were working so hard, and you have to take care of good people. We have to take care of our people at the flea market. Those people, they pay for a spot. And if they pay for a spot, the flea market is safe for another day. I went to another flea market. This family was grilling burgers. My total went out to $15 or $11. Gave them $20 and they said, oh, what about the change? I said, I already saw the burger. I know this is worth $20. If I will go to Shake Shack and spend $20, why will I not spend $20 with my people at the flea market? Why, when someone says, Oh, this item is $2. Why am I going to beat them up on $1? These people are working hard. If they can't make money, they cannot go to the flea market. If they can't go to the flea market and pay for spots, we have nowhere to go source. Take care of people that are taking care of you. Someone make you a great meal, give them a tip. So someone tells you, oh, you bought 5 items, take this one for free. No, pay for the item. People are working hard. It's hard out here. It's hard for people. It's hard for families. It's hard for people to go out to the flea market and sit out there all day in the sun and load up all of their stuff for you to buy so you can make money on it and then take it all back home, everything that doesn't sell. If someone says something is 50 cents, give them $1. Don't ask for the 50 cents. If someone says something is $2, give them the $2. Don't beat them up for one. Someone says it's 5, don't try to get them down for 4. Don't try to get them down to 3. Pay people, take care of people. You take care of people, people will take care of you. Someone cooks you a good meal, they're hustling, they have their family out there on a Sunday, take care of them. Even if you don't got it, take care of them. That will come back to you tenfold. Even when I didn't have it, take care of them. That comes back to you tenfold. Take care of your suppliers. Take care of your vendors. That stuff comes back to you, man. Karma is real. Thrift karma is real. Flea market karma is real. All that stuff is real. People take care of you. You take care of them. That's how the world works. If you want to beat them up, they're going to beat you up. You want to take care of them, they will take care of you. You do good things will happen. That is my philosophy always. Someone say it's 50 cents, give them the $1. Don't wait for the 50 cents. Someone say it's 5, don't beat them up on 3. If it's profitable at 3, it's profitable at 5. Give them the 5. And I know, like, negotiation is an art of it. Fine, cool. If that's your thing, fine. But people are having a hard time, man. If you got it, take care of them. That's my rant for the day. But I am very passionate about taking care of people that take care of you. And if you're in a position to help a little bit, fine. If you don't have the 50 cents, I get it. Get your 50 cents back. But if you got it, take care of people, man. Those people at the flea market, they work way harder than us. And if they can't afford to be at the flea market, then we have nowhere to source. So take care of people. All right, real quick. On my Instagram, I have this little thing where it's right underneath my name. It says Tech Tips for Reseller Chat. And on there, I post some helpful tips. So if you want to go on there, helpful tips. But I also ask them, do you have any questions for tonight? So let me shout out George in the chat, reseller George in the chat. I see him. Okay. Let me knock out some of these questions. So there's a bunch of questions in here. Let me knock these out. What dollar amount on purchase items do you require signature confirmation? So eBay is $750. That's their policy. For me, I'm $200, $250. A lot of questions about cross-listing. I have no experience in cross-listing, so I'm no help with that. How can I do a bulk relisting of products from one account to another? You would need to do some sort of software like InkFrog or something like that. Which way is best to looking at item available or sold prices? I like to use eBay Active, eBay Solds. If you are using your phone, you can go to ebay.com on the browser, scroll to the bottom, click classic site or desktop, and then do your active and solds from there. Do you ever use a cross-listing service? I personally do not. What should you prioritize when building out a storefront? Your eBay storefront, it's not going to move you into a mansion, but if you want to have some little bit of branding, that's fine, no problem. How do you nurture repeat buyer relationships on eBay? Very good question. Repeat buyers on eBay, you have to stock the same kind of items over and over again. If you're a toaster, sombrero, shoes, jacket, hat, very, very difficult. If you're always the same brand stocked, it's much more easier. Communicate with them in messaging. And we did a call last week on Thursday all about getting buyers into the funnel. That was the morning call topic. Communicate with them. When they send you a message, get them into the funnel. You can send out flyers into your packaging with something that will incentivize them to come back and purchase, whether it be a public coupon, private coupon. Anytime someone messages you with something nice, say, hey, Here's a private coupon just for you. Thank you so much. Every single opportunity you have to get a buyer into the funnel, we have to take advantage of that. We can use buyer groups, newsletters, even offers to watchers has a text box. Inside of the text box, you could say, I appreciate you so much. I'm glad you like this item. I list 100 items just like this in my store every single week. Save me as a seller, and here's a coupon. We have to get them into the funnel, and we have to do that actively. We can't do that passively. But having those public and private coupons is very, very helpful. And of course, stocking the same stuff is very, very helpful. I sold a pair of shoes international, but paid 40. I don't know why. Was that some sort of VAT or some sort of tax? I don't know. Not enough information on there. Is it smart to hold items till their seasonal time or list now? Me personally, I list and wait. I do not wait and list. Are the AI descriptions helping or hindering? I personally think the AI descriptions are kind of like boosting up the items a little bit too much. It can open you up to an item not as described. I am not personally a fan of them as they stand today on February 28th, 2024. They could get better one day, but today I personally do not use them. Do you recommend 99-cent auctions to reboot sales in the algorithm? I don't know if that it's going to help you sell items, but I don't know if that's going to reboot your sales for the algorithm. It's going to help you sell a lot of items for cheap. Getting an offer below your metrics. Do you counter, decline, or expire? I always counter. Opinion on adding video to listings. We do wonder if it's worth the effort. I think it is. I think if you can add an item, especially for an item that's three-dimensional, like a shoe, I think there is some value add. Something that makes sound, something that plays music. I do think that there is a value add. Something with moving parts, I think there's a value add. If it's a 2D item like a shirt, maybe not that much of a value add. Are YKK zippers considered Y2K? They can be, but YKK has been around for a very long time. Are vintage t-shirt sweaters measurements important for selling on eBay? I believe that they are. We have discussed markdown strategies for old inventory, and you have asked that question about leaving the country. So here we go. We knocked out all the questions on the Instagram machine. So let me catch up with the chat. Okay, I think I've beat the chat, and then I went over to the phone. Now I got to beat the chat again. Assuming there are no noteworthy issues like stains, an item of clothing, do you think it's necessary to individualize every item description or general template? I like to individualize it. I'll be honest. It only takes a second. Yeah, Susan, you're right. Great questions this week. Excellent. What percentage of your personal items were thrifted? Shoot, probably everything. Ask my wife in the chat. Aside from like our bed and our TV and like computers, I think everything, even the cabinet and the dresser it sits on was thrifted or found in the trash. So these hats were I purchased these hats brand new, but we know how to do it. I'll say that. Very good. Late Night Crew, Bold Finds, and George in the chat. George makes videos too. Subscribe to Reseller George. He has a great whiteboard that he shared in the group. Shout out to him. So Pepe says, if you go to a thrift store with lots of bolos and see a couple of resellers there, what's a good strategy to beat them and scare them off? Do you go through the racks much quicker? So I'm very unassuming. I walk in and I look like a dope. Of course, I'm not a swag guy. I don't go in there looking like I know what I'm doing. I run through so many stores before people even know what's going on. I leave out with everything, and then they just see me with a full cart. I think that was a huge advantage. All right. Very good. Very good. Oh, Hankinson. Important question. When you get the spring rolls, do you use the delicious peanut butter based sauce? They don't have those for the ones that I get. I get the cheeseburger one, which comes with like a Big Mac sauce, 10 out of 10. And then the pepperoni spring roll comes with a marinara sauce. Have you picked up any good tips for restarting a store after time away? I've never used time away before, but in the group, they say like a week's worth of getting back consistent and everything kind of bounces back. Um, has anyone tried to make you feel bad for being a reseller? I don't think so. No, because like I'm not out here like hustling like chlorine shortages and things like that. I'm just doing my thing, man. I don't bother anybody. Nobody bothers me. All right. I have beat the chat. It's 9:10. I have beat the Instagram machine. Again, if you want to get some helpful tips, go right here to the Instagram. Right underneath here, it says tech tips. And in there, I give out some helpful tips, toss out some bolos every now and then. I have beat the chat 6-0. Now, doing these two things will save your eBay reselling business. I will give you the tip. I will give you the hack. I will give you the things that will save your eBay reseller business. Come close, pay attention. You have to know all the rules to the game. All these questions that we're asking, all these things that we're talking about, we have to embed this information into our head. We have to learn it. It has to be second nature. We can't be questioning. So if you hear a question, remember the answer. Read the eBay communications, read the seller updates, read your seller protections, read buyer protections, read the policies, read everything that is involved. We have to know the rules of the game if we want to win. We have to know the information. We have to seek the knowledge. We have to improve. We have to get better. We have to learn. That is one of the two things. If you want to save your eBay reselling business, you have to learn. 5-Day Flipper says, I missed this question. Are the stuff you're finding at the swap meet in your recent videos the kind of 90-day quick flip items? You tell me. Look them up in the solds. Look them up in the actives. Are they all? No. Are they on average? You tell me, my friend. So the second thing that will save your eBay reselling business, go back to step one. Thank you, everybody. Adios. I appreciate everyone for hanging in there. Over 600 people. Beautiful. Thank you for taking time out to come hang out with me. I don't need anything from anybody. I'm not asking anything from anybody. Just give me the attention and give me a commitment to be actionable on what we talk about. That's it. Commit it to memory and go out and do something great. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As always, if you guys need anything, post a comment below. Send me a message on Instagram. If you have a question, post the question below. I will answer it. I answer everything. I respond to every single message. So thank you very much. As always, be great. Thank you.